Welcome, you guys. Hi, Erin. Hey, Madison, Sarah, Lynn, Michael. Hello, you guys. We are on day 20 of how to stop binge eating. So for those of you guys who are new here, I'm doing a TikTok series where every single day I post on my profile a strategy, a tool to help you stop binge eating. How many of you guys have been plugging in? Hey, Sarah, Lynn, have you been plugging into the 30-day challenge? Let me know if you've been watching my daily videos on TikTok. Every single day I share a specific tool to help you to stop binge eating. Hey, Lisa. Hey, Jennifer, I'm liking my video because if you like the video, it actually tells more people to come on it. So if you like my videos, just give me all the hearts. Hey, Amber. Hey, Umi. Hey, Mia. Okay, so day 20 of how to stop binge eating. I'm going to share something with you today that's going to blow your mind. And you're going to think I'm batshit crazy for giving you this advice, but it works every single time with my clients when they do this to help them prevent a binge. So are you ready? I'm so freaking pumped. So what I actually want you to do when you are wanting to binge, and this is going to be backwards advice from what I've shared, but just hold on tight. You got to be here for the full thing. Umi's like, yes. Okay. What I actually want you to do is give yourself permission to binge. Now you might be thinking, Lorna, you're batshit crazy. You keep telling us if I keep binging, then I'm going to further ingrain this habit into my brain. Yes, but let me explain. When you tell yourself that you can't do something or you shouldn't do something, you want to do the opposite. If I tell you, okay, you can't have any more sweets, all you're going to think about is sweets, and all you're going to want to do is binge on sweets. If you try to tell yourself, don't binge, don't binge, don't binge, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it, it's like that rebel inside of you is like, I know I shouldn't be doing this. So I'm not even going to just like have like one bowl of cereal. I know that I'm messing up. So I'm going to go balls to the wall and I'm just going to mess up completely and I'm going to binge because I feel like I'm doing something wrong. That little rebel comes out and it's like, I shouldn't be doing this. So when I say give yourself permission to binge, I want to clarify. There is a difference between autopilot mode, being mentally checked out when you are binging, and having it be a productive binge. So let's explain the difference. An unproductive binge is like, hey, Solora, hey, Debbie, hey, Jenny, hello, you guys. So an unproductive binge is when you're mentally checked out. So you're standing up, you're in autopilot mode, you are so disconnected from your body, you are just literally scarfing food down your throat, like you can't even taste the food, and you're most likely doing it in secret when you're home alone. That's unproductive. You're just mentally checked out. Versus when you tell yourself, okay, you know what? If you are wanting, you're feeling like this desire to binge right now, make it productive. I want you to sit down. You could have the ice cream, you could have the chocolate, but you're going to sit down. We're going to make this a productive binge. So you're going to actually sit down. You're going to like allow yourself to have what it is that you're wanting. When you do this, that rebel inside of you doesn't want to binge. When you tell yourself you can have as much ice cream as you want, you actually stop when you're full. When you actually tell yourself you can open up the cookie box and you can have as many as you want, you will stop after a decent amount. It's when you tell yourself you can only have one cookie that you want to spiral into a binge. When you tell yourself, oh, I really want to have these cookies right now, I really want to binge right now, but oh, like you shouldn't do that. It's like you literally want to do the opposite. So I've had one of my clients that I worked with, and she used to always binge on chocolate cake. Every single time she would binge on chocolate cake. And so I told her, I said, listen, I want you to actually allow yourself to have chocolate cake. Like, I want you to actually allow yourself to have it. And she's like, I'm just going to binge. And I'm like, allow yourself to have it. And I said, be present, sit down, enjoy the cake. Like make it an experience. Instead of mentally checked out, autopilot mode, standing up, I want you to make this an experience. Sit down, maybe even like, light a candle, like make this an experience. Make this an experience. And so she sat down and she was really being intentional with eating this chocolate cake. And she said to me, it was so crazy? When I actually was paying attention, I actually realized that chocolate cake was really sweet. She said, I couldn't even finish it. I couldn't even finish it. Now, sometimes she would have the full piece of cake. Sometimes she wouldn't. But here's the thing, what I'm trying to get at. I just finished eating wings. So what I'm getting at is when you allow yourself to have what it is that you're wanting, it's like that rebel inside of you doesn't come out, and you're more intentional and you're more aware, so you can actually taste the food, right? It's like, what does this actually taste like? Oh, wow, this is really sweet. Versus if she said, oh, I'm not allowed to have cake, but F it, I'm just gonna have the cake anyways, she would have finished the whole cake, because when you're on autopilot, you can't taste the food. And so she was like, I actually realized that like chocolate cake is really sweet. And I did the same thing with almond butter. So almond butter used to be a massive trigger food for me. And I used to always tell myself, only 1 tablespoon, only 1 tablespoon, only 1 tablespoon. What would I do? Binge on almost an entire jar. And instead I was like, you know what? I really enjoy this. I'm going to actually allow myself to have as much almond butter as I want. I could not eat like more than 2 tablespoons, because I was like, it's so filling. And like, if I have more, I'm just going to be sick, and I don't want that. So again, giving yourself permission is not F it, I'm just going to binge, but it's like, I'm going to give myself permission, and I'm going to be very intentional. I'm going to make this more of a productive session. I'm going to sit down. I'm going to engage in all my 5 senses. And somebody said, why do I binge even when I'm full or I don't want to? Because so many different reasons, especially when you're full, that's when it's really easy to want to binge, because it's like, I'm already uncomfortable. So I might as well just binge. Like, I'm already so full, I'm already so bloated, like might as well take advantage of that. And even if you don't want to, like nobody really wants to binge, right? Like nobody wants to eat until they're physically sick, but it's so habitual. And those urges are very strong and very demanding, where it makes it feel like you don't have a choice but to give in. So again, going back to this whole concept of giving yourself permission to, you're so welcome. Giving yourself permission to actually like, and I don't want to say give yourself permission to binge, but it kind of is that. Like, when you just allow yourself, like if you're wanting to binge and you actually say, you know what, I'm going to do it, and I'm going to sit down and I'm going to make this an experience, I guarantee that you will not eat until you're physically sick. Next time you're wanting cookies, literally tell yourself, you can have the whole box if you want. You will not eat the whole box, because you're like, I don't want to. Versus you can't have the whole box, only one. You end up having the whole box. This is the way that it works. Hey, Tam, thanks for the follow. So any questions, you can drop them down below. Let's see here. What do I do when after eating a full meal, I want to eat something sweet, but nothing I try helps? So you got to have something sweet. This is it. So, and even if you're full, you might not be satisfied. And I talk about this a lot. So if you have a meal and you're full, but it wasn't satisfying, you're going to want something else. So what you can actually do is you can either have something sweet with your meal. So even for tonight, I had my dinner, and yesterday I made these little like chocolate cluster oat thing that I put in the freezer. Anyways, I was like, I really want something sweet. So I had that with my dinner. I had that with my dinner. But so many people would be judging themselves of like, oh, you shouldn't be having that for dinner. Like, you got to eat super healthy. And then they'll just end up binging on 25 of them later on. So you can either have it with your dinner or just after dinner, have something sweet. And again, when you know that like it's not that big of a deal and you're satisfying a craving, you're not going to go to town and binge. It's truly a mental thing, 1,000%. I can't control my urges to binge when I'm PMSing. It's so hard. And here's the thing, like, yes, during the time of the month, hormones do change, and you know, people tend to crave more sugary things, especially chocolate, because during the time of the month, magnesium levels drop, and there's a bunch of magnesium in chocolate, and that's why a lot of people turn to chocolate. But what I would say is, number one, like, remind yourself that it's literally like one time a month, like it's not the end of the world. Number two, what I would say is do not tell yourself this is what I do every month, because then you're literally like, you're almost like manifesting it. You're literally telling yourself like, yeah, every single month I just spiral out of control. Every single month I just like, I can't give in to my urges. What if you started changing your language and you're like, you know what? I am regaining control over my urges, even though if that's not the case right now, but you telling yourself I can't control my urges, it's literally like that's true. Right? It's like when you tell yourself I can't do it. Oh my God, my urge is so strong. Oh my gosh, like I have to give in. That's what it's gonna feel like. Versus, okay, I understand the time of the month and when I'm PMSing, like I do want a few more sweets, but I have full control. Like I am so much more powerful over my binge urges, and allow yourself to have maybe more sweets. Like I know for my clients, like what they'll do is like that time where they're like, I just want more sweets. Like they allow themselves to have it and then they don't binge that week. And it's just like, okay, it's one time. And if I just allow myself to have it, again, you're going to be preventing so many thousands of calories from binging. How do you stop a binge cycle? So Princess, who's on, I would definitely start by listening to my podcast, the Ditch Decade Diets podcast. I also did a interview with one of my clients who I helped stop completely binging after 6 months of working with me inside of the Root and Rewire membership. It's a free podcast, and it's in the link in my bio. You can listen to the podcast that I did with her, and she shares exactly what she focused on in order to stop binge eating. But a few things in order to stop the binge eating cycle. Number one, you need to release physical and mental restriction. So a lot of people have released physical restriction, but there's still mental restriction going on. So the physical restriction is like you're telling yourself you can only eat certain foods, you can't eat after a certain time, you need to eat 3 meals a day, you can only have one snack. Like you need to let go of all those rules. And then mental restriction is you also need to be releasing guilt, shame, and judgment, because you might be allowing yourself to have the ice cream, but the whole time you're judging yourself. The whole time you're feeling guilty. And you can't extract satisfaction. You can't be connected to your body and stop when you're full if there is guilt, shame, and judgment. So those are like two of the most important things. You need to release physical and mental restriction. You also need to have more satisfying meals. To stop the binge cycle, you need to feel satisfied. You need to actually allow yourself to have what it is that you're craving. Because again, the reason people are binging is because there's so much pressure of, I can't have those foods. Think about when you're on a diet plan and you're following something very restrictive. All you want is the food that you cannot have. So if you start allowing yourself to have the food that you're actually craving, you're going to prevent so many more binges. Thank you so much for this help. You're welcome. Okay. Every time, hey Vanessa, every time I try not to restrict carbs, I gain so much weight for eating too much. Well, the thing is, like, are you binging on them? So you're not restricting carbs, but are you binging on them? So a few things, like if you have restricted carbs for so long, and then now you're all of a sudden introducing it into your diet, your body might need a little bit of time to adjust. And that's nothing to freak out about. Now, if you know, haven't had carbs in a really long time and now you're feeling out of control and you're binging on them, well, not binging on them, just introducing them, but my body puffs up. So this could be some inflammation happening. So, you know, when you're healing your relationship with food, yes, allow yourself to have the food that you're craving, but also if you're puffing up, that's inflammation. And you don't want to feel puffy, you don't want to feel swollen, you don't want to feel bloated. So maybe it's like, okay, I'm gonna just like maybe like take a mental note. Okay, when I eat these certain carbs, like, you know, I tend to feel really puffy. So maybe I'm going to opt for these carbs, or maybe I don't have as much. And you cannot see that as restriction. I have some clients that I work with that struggle with PCOS and other health conditions, SIBO. And, you know, instead of, you know, certain types of pasta, they need to get like chickpea pasta. Instead of certain like breads, they have to go with like Ezekiel bread. And there's nothing wrong with that, especially, you know, you don't want to feel that way. So you can still have carbs, don't restrict yourself, but maybe it's having a little bit less. And again, not in the sense of like, oh my God, it's bad if I have carbs, but you don't want to feel that way. So play around with maybe quantity, but also maybe try out different brands. Like I said, like some of my clients will get like chickpea pasta, red lentil quinoa pasta. So just maybe some other like substitutes. And again, it's not diet culture. You can't have this. It's like, no, I want to respect my body and I want to feel amazing in my own skin. And you absolutely deserve to feel that way. And I'm just going to make tweaks. You know, even some clients that I work with that can't do dairy, they might be able to do like half a cup of yogurt, but as soon as they have a full cup, they're puffy and they're bloated. Some of my clients are like, okay, I can do cheese, but I can't do yogurt, right? So this is like trial and error of really seeing what works best for you. Thank you for sharing this important information. It's so helpful. Oh, I'm so glad. Okay, last minute questions. Is there anything else? Hey, Michelle, Lexi, Tori, Jasmine, Sadie, do you guys have any questions? Seaball? Seriously, this has been so great. Amazing. We'll definitely check out the podcast as well too. Go to the link in my bio. I did an interview with one of my clients, and like I said, I helped her completely stop her binge eating in 6 months inside of the Root and Rewire membership. So if you want to see, you know, what we really worked on together, I think that will be really inspiring for you guys as well too. Okay, amazing, you guys. All right. Well, have an amazing rest. Oh, I forgot. I have to do the giveaway. I said I was going to do a giveaway today. Okay, let me pull up my sheet. I promise that I'm giving 2 people 3 masterclasses for free who rated and reviewed the podcast. So I'm going to go to random number generator. And I'm going to do the giveaway. You can still enter. All you need to do is leave a rating and review of the Ditch Decade Diets podcast. And then 2 people each week win 3 masterclasses with me: how to rewire your brain, how to stop eating when you're full, and how to transition yourself out of binge eating. Okay, let's see here. I'm going to do the giveaway. Okay, so this is one. Just putting all the people in. Okay, so the 2 winners are... It is, I'm just pulling it up here. Okay, number 1 is love underscore is underscore in underscore the underscore air on TikTok. You're the winner. And page underscore Falca underscore. So I will message both of you guys. You guys both won those 3 master classes with me, how to rewire your brain to stop binge eating, how to stop eating when you're full, and how to transition yourself out of binge eating. I've already given away 6 of these. I will give 2 more away next week. Like I said, just leave a rating and review on the Ditch Decade Diets podcast, and then just message me a screenshot on my Instagram, and I will choose 2 more people next week. This is so much fun. This is so exciting. Jasmine says, I'm trying to help my binge eating with eating healthy. Never done that in my whole life. So ending binge eating is not going to be fixed by eating healthy. So you can still prioritize nutritious foods, but to end your binge eating, you got to change your thoughts. You got to rewire your brain. You got to change the way that you're speaking to yourself. You need to have more satisfying meals. You need to start honoring your cravings. So eating healthy is amazing, but it's not what's required to stop binge eating. Ending binge eating, it requires very specific tools to help you become less impulsive. When you're binge eating, there's so much impulsivity. It feels like you're going, I'm aware of binge eating now. I never realized I did that all because of trauma. Well, Jasmine, I am just proud of you for even having awareness, because sometimes it's like I remember when I used to struggle, it was like, I didn't know what I was doing. I knew what I was doing wasn't normal, but like, I didn't have a name to it. But the fact that you now are way more aware of binge eating, that's actually a good thing. Obviously, nobody wants to struggle with binge eating, but like this awareness is what's, it's like, I just woke up. Yeah. And it's like, this is what's going to actually allow you to like get the proper support and tools that you need. So I would definitely recommend checking out the podcast if you've not yet already. And then if you need more support, I'm here. Hey, Gabriella, I'm getting better, but there's so much pain when eating alone in the darkness. Can you elaborate? Like, you mean there's so much pain, meaning like you're eating until you're physically sick? Or is it like elaborate what you mean by that? Or is it, are you talking more about like, let me know, Gabriella, what you specifically mean by that. Hey, Melanie. I'm getting better, but there's so much pain when eating alone in the darkness. Yeah, let me know, Gabriella, what like, are you talking about like depression more specifically, or you just mean pain in terms of like eating until you're physically sick? Hey, Carly. Carly's here. Michelle. Danya. Jazzy. All right, I'm gonna wait a few more seconds here. Gabriella, if you're able to type. Oh, okay, pain in terms of guilt and depression. Yeah. So I was just talking about this yesterday, and when you are struggling with binge eating, there's so much shame, guilt, embarrassment attached to it that often people isolate themselves because it's like nobody else is doing this. Like, I need to hide, I need to isolate myself. But then that creates depression, that creates loneliness because you're isolating yourself. Like, I remember those days, like I would be home alone, binging my face off, and then not wanting to go see anyone. And then, of course, you feel lonely because you're by yourself all the time. You're not going to social events, and you're always eating in secret. And then because you're feeling lonely, you gotta like, you gotta meet that need of connection. And then food becomes your source of connection. So this is why it's so important. Yeah, I'd lock myself in my room, lights off, and eat so much. And this is why it's so important to start allowing yourself to eat the foods that you normally would eat in secret in front of other people. And I know that can feel so scary. I get it. But that will neutralize and normalize the food. The only reason people tend to eat in secret is because I don't want anyone to comment. It's like my alone time. It's my safe time. But you're not going to need to feel, you're not going to have the need to eat certain foods in secret when you eat them regularly in front of other people. Right? So I know this whole cycle is challenging, but it actually is like you're so much closer than you realize. With a few simple tweaks that we can make together, you can break free a lot sooner than you realize. Jace says, JC, is it JC? Gabriella, makes sense. Thank you. I'm trying so hard not to binge. Gabriella, message me on my Instagram if you want to chat about getting some support, because this is what I see a lot. Jace, I will go back to your question, or JC. But what I will say is so many people are like, I'm trying to not binge, but you can't try your way to not binging. Like, there needs to be specific tools in place to reduce your impulsivity, to get rid of your urges, to get back in tune with hunger and fullness cues. Like, there needs to be specific processes, because if you just tell yourself like, don't binge, don't binge, don't binge, you're relying on motivation, which is so fleeting. And it's like Monday morning, you're super pumped, I'm ready to do this. And then as soon as the urge comes on, you're like, where the heck did the motivation go? So instead of relying on willpower and motivation, you really want to get rid of your urges. Okay, Jace, how can you begin to navigate intuitive eating when you feel so disconnected from your hunger and fullness cues? So number one, understanding that this is a process. So if you have not been paying attention to hunger and fullness for years and years and years through relying on MyFitnessPal or other external factors, it's going to take time to reconnect to hunger and fullness. And if that's the first step, if you just recognize that this is not going to be an overnight success, this is not like, okay, I'm going to try intuitive eating and then tomorrow I'm going to understand when I'm hungry and when I'm full. If you understand that it is going to take some time for you to connect to your body, that's the first step. The second step is to use your, there's 3 times to really check in with your body: before a meal, in the middle of a meal, and then after a meal. So before a meal, again, you're not going to know, am I hungry? Am I full? You're not going to really know. But I really want you to ask yourself, okay, on a scale of 1 to 10, 10, I'm so full, 0, I'm starving. Where am I at before I even go into this meal, to just bring more awareness? Because when you're just going about your day, it's like nobody really checks in with hunger, right? It's like, I just want to eat. So before a meal, kind of check in with where you're at. And then in the middle of your meal, like, put your utensils down and take a moment to pause. And then again, reassess, where am I at with my hunger and fullness? Am I even enjoying the meal? Am I getting fuller? Am I really full and I'm just continuing to eat because there's more food on my plate? And then at the end of your meal, how am I feeling? Oh, whoa, I am a 10. Like, I ate until I was too sick, right? Then you can adjust. Okay, if I ate until I was really full, then maybe I waited too long to eat. Or maybe I was already kind of full going into the meal, so that it makes sense that by the time I finished my meal, that I ate like way too much. So those are a few things that I would really consider, like really checking with yourself before, during, and after a meal. I would really start there in terms of navigating intuitive eating. And you just got to be patient and you got to check in. Navigating intuitive eating and hunger and fullness, like, you are going to feel a little disconnected from hunger and fullness for quite some time. But again, it doesn't have to take a long time. If you continuously check in with yourself at every single meal, before, during, and after a meal, you're going to extract so much feedback. You're going to learn so much about your body. And that is how you become an effortless intuitive eater. Okay. Awesome, you guys. All right. Hey, Trisha. Trisha's on. I remember us chatting a while back. Hey, Ashley. Chase is here. All right, you guys. Have an amazing rest of your day. Thank you. I appreciate that. Have an amazing rest of your night, your day, and we'll see you guys tomorrow for another live stream. I'll be back tomorrow on Monday at 4 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Did your belly button piercing hurt? I got it when I was like so young, but it was like 2 seconds, so it was worth it. I will be back tomorrow, you guys, at 4 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. So come join me. You can come ask your binge eating questions. I'll answer a few more questions tomorrow. Have an amazing rest of your night, and we'll see you guys soon. Bye.